Hello guys, how are you? Today I'm proud to take interview from very famous person from Zimbabwe. Yeah, it's Dot Bakker. She's a business coach. She's traveler. She's philanthropist. Yeah, and really I like people with very interesting personality.
That's me.
That's me. For me, Dot, it's a very special person. At least you see, we can get information from her how to survive in our life if you have any serious problem. Really, she's a survivor, is correct, yeah? She was suffering sometimes in your life, but now she's winner. She found way how to survive if you have difficult, serious, sometimes, problem. Okay. Dot, introduce yourself and explain for me and for my dear subscriber your story.
It's a big story. I'm an old person.
Okay. Just for 15 minutes is going to be enough.
My name.
Can start. You were born here. You are Zimbabwe.
Yes.
You're Zimbabwe.
I'm from Bulawayo, and I am a born and raised Zimbabwean, and I've lived in total in 6 countries on 2 continents.
Wow.
And my name is Dot Bakker, B-E-K-K-E-R. Not a German Baker, but a Dutch Bakker.
Yeah, Dutch Bakker.
Yeah.
You're British or your roots? Or?
No, my parents are from the Netherlands. My dad immigrated in the late 1950s, and then my mother followed with my sister, and then I was born here. So
it's not Dutch, not German, not Dutch.
No, totally Dutch. And not Afrikaans either, because a lot of people go, from South Africa. No. From the Netherlands, from Holland.
Okay.
So that's where my parents' roots are. But I lived in 6 countries on 2 continents.
Wow.
I've lived in South Africa, the UK, Portugal, Luxembourg, and Spain. And having spent 20 years in Europe, I can honestly say that I'm African.
Yeah.
I'm just African.
Despite 20 years in Europe, she decided back to Zimbabwe, back to Africa.
Yeah, I love being back because I'm at home. For the first time in many years, I'm actually at home.
Yeah, but for Rhodesian people who were born here, Africa, Zimbabwe is still motherland. This
is just the most, and as you know, I drove through Africa to come home. But having gone through 18 African countries on my way back home, I can honestly say this is just the most wonderful country just everything about it, really. I'm biased, but that's what I believe.
Okay, describe me when you decided, for example, to leave Europe, to take when and traveling. Your decision, it's a very interesting explanation, only just now you explained for me. What was happened,
I was very unhappy. I was in a marriage of 22 years, and I was unhappy and he was unhappy, and there was no joy or happiness anyway. And I was 58 at the time, and I just decided that, it wasn't an easy or a quick decision, and it was probably a decision I should have made many years ago. But I eventually just decided, as I said to you earlier, I chose life, and that was really important to me because I didn't feel like myself. I was very unhappy.
You were depressed.
I was absolutely depressed, and I was overweight, and I was it was just
not suicidal idea, no.
Well,
yes. Sometimes it was.
I'm not sure that I would have taken the action, but I just really wish that I didn't.
Severe depression.
Yeah, I wished I didn't have to wake up, and every day was just sort of like some other trauma or drama. But my ex-husband suffers from bipolar, manic depressive, and I didn't know that. He'd never been diagnosed. And consequently, I spent 22 years managing his chaos.
And
I didn't know what I was managing, from one day to the next. It was just, and I eventually I knew I couldn't fix it. Whatever I had been doing, I wasn't fixing it. So I chose to fix myself, because that's really ultimately that's the only thing that you can do is fix yourself.
To fix you, to save your life.
I literally
to save your life.
Yeah.
You divorced it, and your plan, what you decided to do?
I decided that I suddenly thought, well, if I don't have a husband and I don't have anything else and I don't feel like I belong here, what do I want to do? And I decided that I wanted to come home. And then I decided that I'd met such interesting people in Europe from different West African countries, and I thought, wow, this is a part of Africa, because it's such a huge continent. This is a part of Africa that I don't know anything about. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to drive?
At least to see all Africa, not only Zimbabwe.
Well, because I've driven through large parts of America, North America, Canada and USA. I've driven across large parts of Europe, and I just suddenly thought, why have I not driven over large parts of Africa? Why not Africa, exactly? And so I set out to drive, and 4 days before my 60th birthday, I bought a van. I fitted it out so that I could sleep in it. I built the inside. I'd never done any carpentry work before, but I'm not sure I'm a carpenter ever, but at least... And I took my van, which is a 20-year-old Ford Transit, two-wheel drive, and I started my journey home. And I went with the ferry from Spain to Morocco, and
from Morocco to Zimbabwe.
And Morocco all the way along the west coast, pretty much more or less along the coast. Obviously not exactly along the coast, but more or less along the west coast. 20,000 kilometers.
For how many? For 18 months?
For 8.5 months.
8.5 months.
18 African countries.
Oh, 18 African countries.
18, yeah.
Wow. You were alone or somebody?
No, I was alone.
You were a driver, really? You were a driver?
Yeah, I was alone.
She's alone. You know. Best way to fight with depression, you see, traveling.
I have to say, I knew that I also wanted to do the journey because I needed to do the journey for myself. But I can say that the people of Africa gave me my joy back.
You see,
they're just so wonderful, such wonderful, warm people.
And finally, you came to Zimbabwe.
And now I'm back here in Zimbabwe. So I arrived last year in August.
And you see now she's a business coach.
Yes.
She's business coach. Just the same she can give. Just the same traveler. She can give advice for people who wants to travel.
Yes, I'm doing tours next year. Specifically for women for 40 and above, because so many women said to me, "Oh, I'd love to do Africa, and I don't really know what to do or where to start or whatever." So
I'm going
to be doing tours.
You can give advice and everything. And business coach, how to, plus in my opinion, you can do just the same, and counselor for people who are suffering from, for example, from depression, especially depression connection with family problem, because mostly of times they are going to see psychologist, psychiatrist, help me, I have family problem. But your advice is going to be very good, because one time after 22 years of marriage, you decided stop relationship, you can't cope, I must survive, I must be safe, and best way for me, divorce and traveling.
And the story is that my first husband died when I was 26.
Wow.
So I'm kind of I've got a lot of life experience.
And what are you doing now in Zimbabwe? You said you open website, you are a business coach.
Yes, I do all sorts of things. I'm very passionate about, because I'm a business coach, I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship. So I very much am working with people locally to see and find ways that I can support the local
especially for local people, for us,
especially the crafters and things like that. So I want to sell crafts to people in America and Europe. I'm also very much involved in girls' education.
Well done. What is kind of program for girls?
So I have a very small non-profit, but I look at high-achieving girls from disadvantaged and vulnerable backgrounds, and I put them into high school. Because the dangerous part is that if they don't get out, if they come out of junior school and they don't make it into high school, they live lives of poverty. They can be child trafficked, they can be married off too young, There are just so many terrible, and they will live lives of poverty if they don't get high school education.
At least you can give advice how to survive. How
Yeah,
to survive and make a plan
so
for
I'm,
life. Yeah.
I'm giving them, I take high achieving girls only because they really want education, and they're, you know, I only have a small fund, so I can only focus on, but I have a very exciting project that I'm working on at the moment where I'll be able to house them, and part of that will also be a life skills program, so that they'll come out of the high school as capable, confident young women ready to take on tertiary education.
Yeah. Everything is voluntary, yeah. What she's
Yeah,
doing,
I don't make any money out of that.
yeah.
At all,
Despite
at all.
to be a business coach, you are not rich person. Yeah?
No, I'm not a rich person, but that's my choice. That's my choice.
What she's doing.
I like the freedom, and I like to do what I'm doing. So it's about choices, and I make those choices.
Thank you very much for very good explanation. You know, for your great job, especially your voluntary, positive. And you see, I'm sitting with it. I'm feeling positive energy. It's coming for me. You know, not too many people with this positive energy. You know, and really she can be totally, you see, counselor, because she can give advice not only for young girl in education program how to survive in our difficult life. She can give advice, like I explained, for women who are suffering in, for example, due to family relation, still despite domestic violence and ABC, they're still together. You can give advice how to survive, how to behave in this situation.
I have, although I focus mainly on business coaching, I do have some life coaching clients who are specifically women who come from
we can
difficult
put your
relationships.
website under this video, my dear describer. We can put website of Dot, and if you are interested of any type of job what is doing Dot, you can exactly open website and read everything. For me, very interesting traveling. Really, I want to check up your traveling. 18 months, you see, in 18 countries. 8.5 months, you see. And it was not dangerous for you. It was okay. You did not have any serious problem during traveling. Because you are a woman, you know. You are a very brave person.
Well, firstly, I'm African, and secondly, so I understand the continent, and I understand, you know, the people. Secondly, I have what the Jewish people call chutzpah, you know. I don't take nonsense, you know. Like, no, we're not doing that, you know. But as well, the people were just amazing, you know. So I had a couple of times that I broke down, and there was always somebody to help you. Always somebody to help you. So, and no, I had you know. There are always difficult people all over the world.
It's correct. Yeah.
But in Africa, the people are just marvelous. I love them very much.
Thank you very much, Dot. I hope it was very interesting interview. If you are interested of my friend Dot, please ask. We can give for you website, your email, and everything, and she can explain if you have questions. Please. But my advice as a psychiatrist, try to be positive. As a Dot.
If you're not, if you can't,
and you will be
if
rich.
You're not in positivity, go find it, because it's out there somewhere.
And you will be rich and mentally stable. Okay, guys, bye.
Bye bye.
Thank